Hello, everybody. My name is Keaton Gillogly, and today we get to visit with another Nuts alum, Pablo Lopez. Pablo pitched for the Nuts in 2017 before he was traded to the Miami Marlins, and he made the big leagues the following year. Pablo, how we doing?
Hey, Kim. Good. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Enjoyed the time talking to a lot of guys who've come through Modesto the last couple of years. But first of all, how are you handling the quarantine or the shutdown? What's some of your routine day-to-day to keep yourself busy?
Yeah. So it's mainly obviously you want to try to stay in shape. Yeah, you don't want to lose everything you did during the spring training. But at the same time, so I also don't want to build up too fast, just in case this keeps like getting pushed back and pushed back. Then I don't want my arm to be too tired. So it's been just trying to find that balance of what works right now and what wouldn't work. So like I'm training like almost every day, but like every other week I try to take like a couple of days off, let the arm rest a little bit, and just two bullpens a week, one short, one longer. So the longer ones like would be like my game day. So like I try to make it like 35, 40 pitches and work on my sequencing, work on like how I want to work with batters. Like I imagine myself in a game situation, like runner on second with a righty, how I want to pitch, how I want to approach the situation, and just doing the rest of the small things, like taking care of the arm, the running, the exercising, just everything, kind of like the season, but obviously without the season.
Well, you were ramping up to try to secure another spot in the rotation of the Miami Marlins. You've had a chance to get up to the big leagues the last couple of years. How are you feeling going into spring training this year? What were some of your focuses on trying to get better so that you could make the big league club again this year?
Yeah, so obviously I went into the spring training with the mentality of continuing to get better, like just go and work as hard as I could on stuff I needed to work on, which was mainly like the thing that's always been with me, like having good rhythm, good tempo on the mound, and just having that competitive mindset when I'm on the mound. So like I did get to pitch like 3 or 4 games, like 3 games and a couple of live batting practices. So those were fun. Like I kept feeling better with each one of them, but at the end we got shut down. So like it's been kind of like I'm trying to focus on that right now too. So I mean it's given me a lot of time to process everything, because it was a little bit of like I had a good chunk of information during the spring, and this time one silver lining I could say is just giving me more time to really digest everything and soak it all in.
All right, well, let's go back to some of your time in Modesto. So you joined the Modesto Nuts at the start of the 2017 season, coming off that terrific 2016 campaign you had in Clinton. What are some of the things you remember about the 2017 season with the Nuts?
I remember it was fun. We had a great bunch of guys. Not only players but the staff. It was fun in every aspect. Like our practices were fun, our games were fun. If we won, obviously the clubhouse environment was fun, and if we lost, we would just like try to focus on the things we didn't do our very best on, and just try to work on them. So it was a very positive environment. Like I had my good share of struggles in 2017, and like I had everyone backing me on. Like if I didn't do good, the bullpen came and they did their job, and then I would get all the feedback from my catchers, my infielders, and just like we held each other accountable. That was our main thing that year. We hold each other accountable, and we just try to push for each other. We're each other's biggest fans. Like when I'm not pitching, I'm supporting the guy on the mound, just like I'm supporting my center fielder, my infielders, and everyone. So that's the main thing I remember. Like we had such a positive environment, and no matter if you did good or bad, you knew that you were gonna come the next year, and everyone was gonna be the same guy they were the day before.
Well, one of those guys helping to provide that type of environment is Pete Woodworth, who you had a chance to work with in 2016 and as well as 2017 before your trade. And now he's the Seattle Mariners pitching coach going into this season. What do you remember about working with Pete Woodworth?
Super fun. Like he had this vibe that obviously he's like he knows a lot about pitching, so like you knew that, but the way he explained things through, like it really made you realize like it's just the small things, like you should not try to do too much at the same time, because then it's like you're not getting better at all of those things. If you take just one, like get really good at that one, and then you get to move on to the next one, to the next one. He used to say you just have to get 1% better each and every day, 1% better, and the next day another percent, and in long term you're just gonna be a completely different pitcher. And like he really helped me through like my struggles that year. And like right before the second half, and then I remember him saying, you know what, we've been working on a lot of things, let's just now focus on having that good rhythm on the mound. Forget everything, you just like get your sign, build up steam, and once your leg reaches its highest point, you just let it go. So like that really clicked for me at the time, and like it really helped me with my second half of that year. And then when I got traded and I came to the Florida State League, like it really translated to that as well. So I do remember him, like he's sticking by me, like he was there to support me. Like we would go and watch video, we would watch videos of other pitchers and how they work, if I could just pick something that might change my whole game. So it was really fun, like having that experience with him, like I can't imagine having a better pitching coach to help me through those times.
Yeah, the tempo thing is interesting. That sounds like it could be a really helpful mental cue. Is that tempo where you lift the leg and you're just trying to get it going? Is that something you use to think when you get into some trouble, even in the big leagues? I mean, is that something you've carried through your mentality even now in the game?
Yeah, 100%. Like it's one of the things. Like, I mean, the pitcher controls the game. Like until you do not let go of the baseball, there's no game. So there's no need to feel a rush when you're on the mound. So you get your sign, you take your time, you make sure you're gathering everything on top of the rubber. But there has to be some explosion at some point. It's like you're gathering everything, you're loading, but then you have to unload. And then it's when like you load, you're sure you're like you gather everything, but now you have to let it go. So you build it up and then you just let it go. And that's huge for me, because sometimes like I want to throw these fastball to my glove side and then I finish to my arm side, and that's a lot of inches of where I wanted it to where it landed. But then it all goes back to the beginning of your mechanics of your delivery. If you do every checkpoint like from the beginning, then it's going to make your release of the baseball and your location easier. So for me, that was a huge thing. Like for some reason, I always felt rush. Like I see the sign, boom, I want to let go of the baseball. Like there's no rush. You have the ball in your hands, so just take it easy. But then when you feel that you have that strength and you have to like go get it.
Yeah, tell me, tell me a little bit more about what it's like on the major league mound to try to control that tempo? I mean, you're standing in a ballpark with thousands and thousands of people. You got the ball in your hand. You're facing a guy who, you watched on television at some point. You got people around you that you recognize from television too as your teammates. I mean, what's it like standing on the mound, trying to collect your thoughts and trying to control the tempo of a major league game?
Yeah, so it really comes down to controlling your emotions. Like you said, like I face people I grew up watching on TV. So obviously that's very surreal at some points, but like 60 feet, 6 inches doesn't change, like I know who the guy is, he know who I am, but at the same time, I have to try to execute my pitch. Obviously there's times like we're in certain situations that my heart's beating faster than it usually does, but I have to like really slow the game down, take a deep breath, and just remember like, one of the things is now there's so much information. So like we really get to go to the mound with a little bit of an edge, knowing some certain things about the hitters that you're going to face. So just one of like, you can step off and just take a deep breath, slow the game down, and just remember your plan. Remember what you're on the mound to do, and you're there to execute. And if you know something about the batter, that helps you even more.
So your preparation then is kind of a security blanket. That's something that you can use to calm yourself down when you start to race a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Like preparation is huge for me. Like I don't like going to the mound thinking that I didn't do one of the things of my routine. So like I always want to feel prepared. So I try to prepare as much as I can. So when I'm on the mound, I can always go back to that. If something's not right, I can always go back to my plan to. Like I know I did everything in my preparation, so I'm ready to give it my 100% on each and every pitch. And if for some reason something's not working, like I'm able to take a step back and just refocus and re-engage.
All right, well, let's get back into 2017 a little bit. You kind of mentioned some of the struggles you were having that year. You were coming off such a remarkable 2016 in Clinton, and you were only 20 while you were in Clinton. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're 21. You're in the Cal League. That's relatively young for that league. What were some of the struggles you were having? I mean, what were some of the issues? What was different in 2017 compared to 2016?
Yeah, so in 2017, like I started getting hit around a lot, you know. So like I had a games where like I was doing good the first three innings, you know, like first time through the line would be good, but then something would just like go and go the complete other way. Like then I would just give up my good share of hits and home runs and runs. Um, so like it was tough at the time, you know, like you said, I came from a very good 2016. So like, and then I'm really facing a tough league, tough challenge that I hadn't faced until then. So like, it really got to me in sometimes, but then it was just a matter of like, if it like, okay, today you beat me, but I learned something from this. I'm going to take and work on it on my bullpen. So it's going to help me on my next start and then on the next start. So it was just like, having that mentality second and third time through the lineup. Like, why would my mentality change after the first time through the lineup if I had success? You know, so it was just like sometimes I found myself nibbling around the strike zone. Like, okay, I got this guy out with this thing. He's gonna be looking for the next at bat, and then I go I go away from my plan or what had success the first time. So it was just about also like getting to know me, like getting to know me during the struggles. And I didn't really need to change much. All I really need to like is stick to my strengths. Like they say, if someone tells me this guy really hits the fastball up in the zone, but then that's one of my strengths, like then we're just gonna go strength or strength instead of like, oh, this is this guy's strength, I can't do that, and then I just go to something that's weaker of my strengths, and then I find myself in a 3-1 count, and I have to just give him a cookie down the middle. So just little stuff like that, you know, like the mentality, know yourself as a pitcher, like know your strengths, and you should always stick to your strengths.
Yeah, so then it sounds like it was a mentality issue for you, not a mechanical issue. You didn't make any big mechanical issues or change a lot of the shapes of your pitches. It was just how you were sequencing and what your focus was.
Yeah, that was the main thing. And the one time I did find myself try to change something on my mechanics, that's when Pete he was just telling me all you want to do is just make sure you have good rhythm. Don't try to get too involved into like changing your what you do with your front side, how you're loading. All you have to do is make sure you load with good rhythm and just let it go.
So you're in the middle of that 2017 season, and you get traded to the Miami Marlins. You go over to the Florida State League, and your numbers there were terrific. What was kind of different when you got into the Florida State League?
Uh, so like I mentioned, I made that really big change, like on the mountain. Not a big change, but like it was big for me because like it really just like took a lot of distractions away. So like that second half in Modesto was feeling good. And then I go to the Florida State League, which they say it's a complete opposite of the California League. Like California League is super hitting friendly, and then the Florida State League is super pitcher friendly. And then like I think like obviously that might have helped me a little bit, but I already had the confidence of my 6, 7 starts that I had in the second half. And then obviously the adjustment process of like a new team, a new organization, like it was a little different, but just when I got on the mound, I knew it was the same. The mound felt the same as I did in California. So all I had to do was try to execute the pitch.
Yeah, you were signed, out of Venezuela, so you'd been with the Mariners organization for quite a while before that trade. What was the emotion of getting traded over to Miami like when you found out?
It was very emotional, you know, like 16, you're still like relatively young, you're a kid. So I obviously became super attached to the Seattle Mariners, like the team that gave me the chance, the team that gave me the opportunity to come to like try to make my dream come true. So like, and then like all the friends I made along the way, coaches, trainers, athletic trainers, players. So finding out like going to Miami at first, like, okay, like that was such a hectic day. I just needed to like make sure to pack everything and leave. So like the following days is when it really hit me. Like, okay, like I'm in a complete different time zone, area, state, whatever. Like, and like I'm not gonna go back to like my friends in Seattle and like the complex in Peoria, Arizona, and stuff like that. So like it was hard, and like I try to like the first weeks obviously like try to talk to my friends in Seattle and all that, and then but then it was just like when it was just like another opportunity for me to like Miami's closer to home, for example, So like I had to find those really like those silver linings that just made me realize how good of an opportunity that was.
So who are some of the guys you stayed in touch with from that 2017 Modesto Nuts team a lot right after the trade?
Luis Liberato,
Mm-hmm.
Raider. I would talk to like Spencer Herman a little bit. I was good friends with Matt Walker too, and Shirley was with me. Shirley was a good friend of mine, but
Mm-hmm.
it was like when we didn't even live. So like we went together to Miami and together to Jupiter. So that was a fun transition. Like I was able to do that transition with him. That made it a lot easier.
So as the team was making its run through the second half and onto the postseason of the California League Championship, how much were you following along?
The whole thing. I was following along the whole thing, and like I was so excited after each win that I didn't even realize we didn't even lose a single game in the postseason.
Yeah. How were you following along? I mean, were you watching, listening, just watching the game tracker?
I was listening because we didn't have like the MILB TV that you guys now have, which is pretty cool.
Right.
You guys didn't have it back then, so like it was mainly radio or just keeping like on the little gameplay thing.
What are some of the memories of that postseason run that you remember? Any of the big moments that kind of stick out in your mind?
I just remembering like it was just like the pitching was so dominant, Like I remember watching boom boom, hearing because I wasn't able to watch. I wish I could have watched. It was just like boom boom boom, attacking. Then when you look at the pitching lines and then box score, you see like the starters were just dominating, and then the relievers came in like 1 inning 3 strikeouts, 2 innings 5 strikeouts. Like you were not giving the other teams a chance, which is what you want from your pitching staff. And like I knew the guys that were like dominating the other hitters, so like to me that was really exciting to see. Like I know like I saw these guys not having great games at times, but like when it really mattered, like they were bringing their A game.
So you get traded in the middle of 2017, and you make it to the big leagues the very next year in 2018 with the Marlins. Tell me about the call that you were going up to the major leagues for the first time.
I couldn't believe it. It's a funny story. Like mine wasn't the traditional, coming to the office, you going up. Like I was supposed to pitch against the AAA team of the Cubs, the Iowa Cubs, and then as I'm getting ready to pitch, I see another starter like telling me, "Hey, just so you know, you're only pitching 1 inning today. I'm pitching after you." And I'm like, "Well, I'm getting ready for 9 innings, just like I do every day." And he just laughs. And then like I go outside, do my warm up, and then like I actually see him carrying his bat and sitting in the dugout, like I'm actually pitching behind you. And like I throw the first inning with like 8 pitches. They didn't say anything, but then I go for the second inning. I only faced 2 guys, and then they pulled me. But then they pulled me. They didn't say anything, and like everyone was and I had no idea that was a possibility. And then everyone's like, "Hey, if that means you're gonna go to the big leagues," and I'm like, "I don't think so. It really means you're gonna go to the big leagues." So everyone was telling me that. Well, that same night, nothing happened. The next day, nothing happened, and everyone was like, "Did they tell you already? Did they tell you already?" I'm like, "No, no one's telling me anything." But then, like the third day, I do get to go into the manager's office, and he's like, "Hey, what do you know about the New York Mets?" I'm like, "Well, I know they have a really good pitching rotation. I know like they have some good hitters, this and that." He's like, "Do you think you can study them as good as you study the other teams here in AAA?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. Just give me an iPad with the stats, and I'll do my homework." Okay, like, "Well, you better get ready because you're facing the Mets on Saturday in Miami," and that was on Thursday. So it was really fun. I mean, they made me wait while everyone kept asking me, but it was still fun.
So, your father was a very good baseball player before he went on to his medical career. What was it like when you got to call your dad and tell him you were going up to the big leagues?
It was really exciting. Like those 3 days, he was one of those people asking me, "Is it true? Are you gonna go up?" I'm like, "Dad, they haven't told me anything. Like, I even threw a bullpen today. I'm getting ready for my next AAA start." But then when I do get to call him, I'm like, "Hey, Dad, all the rumors were true. Like, it's official." He got super excited. He was already like getting his suitcases ready to fly to Miami to like see the game. So like it was very emotional. You know, he was the first person I did get to call after, and we had a good phone call, and it was very emotional.
And he had a chance to come up and see that first start. Is that right?
Yeah, he did. He did. He came, and my sister also came. Like
Was
they
that?
came from Venezuela.
Yeah, and was that a Venezuelan heritage night at the ballpark too?
It was, yeah.
Did that make it even more special considering they were celebrating Venezuela that day on your first major league start?
I mean, a lot of fans, like a lot of Venezuelan fans, made it to the game, and they were like yelling me from the stands while I was getting ready, and obviously that made me a little more nervous than I than I wanted to be. But I was able to like um, cool down, take a deep breath when I had to, and we had a good ball game. Like we faced the Grum that day, and we were able to beat him. Like, and that was like his most dominant year ever.
Right. What were some of those nerves before those first couple of pitches on the mound in the game? I mean, when you talk to a position player who gets to go out and make his major league debut, there's a bit of a rhythm already before they go to bat, or they get to play a little bit of defense. But as a pitcher, all eyes are on you for that very first major league pitch. What were some of the nerves in that first inning?
I had a lot. I remember like I threw my last warm up pitch, and like I get the ball back from the third baseman, and I just like look around and I see the stands. You know, like there's like 3 or 4 levels of stands, and like
Yeah.
I mean a lot of people were there, and I'm like, man, like I'm really here. It's really happening. But then I see the guy, and like Brandon Nemo, and like, okay, I studied this guy. Like I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what he looked like, but I did like know. I did know some of his like tendencies and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, and this is what I'm gonna do. First pitch slow and away, and then boom, I execute it, and then execute the next one. And like as I kept executing some of the pitches, like the confidence kept building up, and like I was able to control my emotions, bring my heart rate down a little bit. And obviously I had the good support from my teammates, you know, like the shortstop, he was able to like before the game, he's like, hey, just treat it like another game, you know. The baseball's the same. Nothing's really changed. All you have to do is trust your catcher, watch the signs, and just have fun.
I love it. Well, that's a great story, great insight, and man, really appreciate the time to hang out and chit chat a little bit here. You've had a terrific journey, and although you got traded in the middle of that 2017 season, you're still a Nuts alum, and I know there's a lot of people in Modesto rooting you on from afar.
Thank you. And I do have my ring, so that's awesome.
That works. I got my ring too. It's a good looking one.
Yeah, it is.
All right, Pablo. Well, stay safe, stay healthy. Good luck. And before you know it, I know we're going to get baseball back, and people will be rooting for you from the Central Valley.
Thank you, Keaton. Appreciate the opportunity, and say hi to everyone of the Modesto Nuts for me.
Will do.
John Thurman